though everyone calls Citlali as a granny, I'm pretty sure the traveler just see her as an adorable girl who loves to chill around, read light novels, and taking cute selfies. I mean, comparing to Furina's age, she can't be as old as Furina's, right? Which makes her personality just absolutely adorable, in which I've been having such a blast building and testing out Citlali for the past weeks. Now, we're not going to be going too in-depth into the nitty-gritty of Citlali because it's not a specific build video for her, and I'm pretty sure you guys should already know how Citlali works. Basically, I think overall how she plays is very easy, guys. Since she's good with EM, most of the time in terms of supportive building, you are going to be building a full EM build on Citlali on a Cinder City set. You're practically just going to be casting her E skill and making sure her elemental burst is available every single rotation to cast it, so that its Papa on her E skill is triggered the cryo application, because you do require to have 50 night cell point above for its Papa to be triggering the cryo applications, which is technically one of the most important parts of Citlali's kit. Obviously, one of the other reasons why we're pulling for Citlali is because she has the ability to Hydro and Pyro resistant shred by a 20%, which is rather nice, even though we technically don't really lack too many supportive character on that front, but having a cryo character that can do that to enable Hydro and Pyro does allow us to have a slightly more variety of team comp in order for us to build and diversify our DPS characters. Now, another part about Citlali that is pretty nice and pretty free to play friendly is that she is a catalyst character. Therefore, on top of all the buffing capability that she actually has, giving her a thrilling tail is really nice. Kinda sad that it won't work really well on character with HP scaling, but in terms of that front, if you kind of want to have Citlali deals a bit of more damage, you can actually just give her any kind of EM weapon that you have on your account towards Citlali, because technically speaking, she's one of the more supportive character that can deal pretty decent damage if you really want to have her there, which makes her to be a really nice supportive character whenever you have on your account. However, here's the thing about your supportive character that we're coming into at the current point, because we're getting into the point where there are quite very decent supportive character on Genshin Impact already, like Shironen, Kazuha, Furina, and now Citlali, and some other characters as well. But at the end of the day, we can only build 4 characters on the team, and of course one of those slots are mostly already for your DPS character. Plus, many of the DPS characters out there already have a set specific team that works really well for them. Therefore, sometimes trying to fit Citlali in means that you have to take out one of your good support character on the team in replacement for Citlali, in which case it comes down to a question of, will Citlali be that worth of a character to be replacing the support character you've already got on your team? Which is why we're going to be having a little bit of a comparison in the team comp section right here to have a slight understanding of whether or not I find Citlali specifically on my account to be worth it. And first off, we're going to be looking into an Arlecchino team, and I'm going to be comparing 2 Arlecchino team running alongside with Shironen and Bennett, and on the last slot it's either going to be a Furina and a Citlali. Now overall, Furina and Citlali can be direct comparison to many of the Pyro team out there, because Citlali is a character that works mostly in Hydro and Pyro team enabler, which of course is going to be a slight competition within a Furina slot. Therefore, many of the time we're going to be seeing Furina and Citlali as a comparison. Now, here's the thing, the Furina on my account is on a C3 level, so obviously that is not a direct comparison on the C0 free-to-play level Citlali that is holding TTDS right now. So basically, the team with Furina is definitely going to be faster within the comparison. However, how much faster is something that we want to look at to see how much of a faster difference a C3 Furina has toward a Citlali. Plus, I know that some of you out there already have invested into a Constellation Furina, because Furina really, I have to say, she's a very good character in terms of supporting and sub DPS side, which is something that Citlali do not have in terms of sub DPS capability. However, I do still value a C0 Citlali slightly more than a C0 Furina, because technically speaking, C0 Furina isn't actually complete. She does have decent sub DPS capability, however, in terms of the supportive side and the damage increase that she has access whenever during her elemental burst, it does require you a bit of time and very specific healing for her to get her fanfare stack in order for you to get the maximum damage increase from Furina. So let's have a quick look into the two teams faring up against each other. And so, not very surprisingly, the Furina team is faster and around a 13-second faster. But whenever we look into a Citlali team for Arlecchino, I don't think it's really that bad. Arlecchino is able to do melt pretty nicely, and a 13-second difference for a C3 support sub-DPS character is an okay amount. So if Furina were to be on a C0 level, I don't think it were to be much of a difference when in comparison, which is why I think Arlecchino on a Citlali team is a very decent team. And if, for example, you want to have both Furina and Citlali being on the same team for Arlecchino, I think that's fine. Maybe you want to have the Shilonen being on a different team, you can just run the Citlali, Furina, and the Bennett on Arlecchino team, and I think that's a very nice team, considering that you can have the Hydro and Pyro Shred for both Arlecchino and Furina. Overall more damage for those two characters. Next up, we're going to be looking into a Mavuika team. Now obviously Citlali, we already know how good of a character she is going to be for a Mavuika team. Specifically, Mavuika is a character that loves Natlan support character in terms of providing you more fighting spirit stacks so that she can have that maximum stack bonus whenever she casts her elemental burst. So let's see how the two teams actually fare up against each other. And so this time around, Furina team is basically only around 11 seconds faster than Mavuika with Citlali team, which is kind of to be expected because, again, as we've mentioned, Citlali is a character that is very much supportive toward Mavuika, but Furina isn't obviously bad. Other than that, we can interestingly look into a Neuvillette team, which you can either run alongside with Furina, Citlali, and Shilonen, or in the past, a very good Neuvillette team has always been having a Kazuha in a Citlali place. So let's see how the two teams actually fare up against each other. So as you can see here on the final result, it's actually 10-second difference. However, I had a little bit of an issue in terms of executing the rotations of the Neuvillette team that has Kazuha, because in the end I could have just quickly finished the enemies off without having to rotate the team for an extra 5 seconds or so. So this team is actually pretty much closer than you think, because once again my Kazuha and my Citlali are both on a C0 level, and both characters has decent buff as well. But the one important thing that Citlali has over Kazuha is that she has the ability to provide a shield, and Neuvillette especially loves a shield whenever he's on a C0 level. Now obviously Citlali's shield isn't really that good, however it is still there, which is pretty much nice as long as you don't get hit too often, of course. Therefore, having Citlali here really much is more comfortable for a lesser invested Neuvillette. And then while we can't forget about one of our older Pyro Queen, because she has been out for a very long time now, which is Hu Tao. Now I really do have to say Hu Tao holds on for a very long time, but still at this point in time, she is pretty much a good DPS character that can pretty much still help you clear most of the content. Now over the years, Tao Team has increased and evolved a lot, and I've already made a lot of videos for Tao. So today we're going to be slightly comparing two of her best teams that I can find right now, which is one, a Tao team that has Furina, Citlali and Shilonen, and another team is going to be a plunging Tao with double Hydro Resonance. This is literally Tao's best team for me right now. I've been using it for a very long time as they've been out damaging most of the other Tao teams because Tao plunging multiplier is really nice. So let's see how the two teams fares against each other. And then interestingly, as you can see, both teams pretty much clears at the same time. Now obviously these two Furina teams are very invested because yeah, they're technically all 5-star character on this Tao team. It's just more or less of when you actually pulled for those 5-star character. Now if you're looking into the older Tao team variation, you do require to have a Xianjun for you to do a plunging Tao, which I think Xianjun is a very interesting character because she did open up a pretty decent team comms for many of the DPS character depending on whatever you like them to be played as. And then of course, if you're more toward a Natlin kind of player who have been pooling for both Shilonen and Citlali while you're also having a Furina, building around this team for Tao is obviously going to be the way to go as well, because either way, as we can see, both teams are really good. Next up, I kind of wanted to have a look into a Mualani with the Citlali team comparing to a Furina on Mualani team specifically, but you know, the test didn't run that well for Citlali being on Mualani team. I honestly do not think that this is a fitting place for Citlali to be on Mualani team because Mualani love to have a Hydro Resonance. Not having Hydro Resonance on Mualani actually tanks her damage pretty much. And comparing to a Furina team, I just feel that having Citlali just have it quite a lot harder for Mualani to actually play around with. So from my experience here, I don't think Citlali is a very great character on Mualani team. Now if you want to force it, you technically would have to replace Shilonen with a Hydro character, and now most favorably it's going to be a Furina. However, at that point you actually don't have a healer on your team, which most of the time would have been a Bennett on Mavuika's place. But again, that point you don't have pyro application for Mualani, plus attacking bonus doesn't actually help Mualani, which makes it that specific team building is a lot harder than you expect to actually pull off, which is why yeah, at the end of the day, I just prefer to have a Furina in the Citlali place and use that team for Mualani, and it's going to be infinitely better for you guys to play around with. Chasca team with Citlali is pretty interesting. You can run her alongside with like Bennett, Furina and you know, Citlali. Overall a mixture of elements to help Chasca you know, do multiple different type of elemental reaction. Chasca team reactions has always been a bit hectic, so you can't always make sure what kind of elemental reactions change she's going to be doing, but as long as you have really nice character in Chasca team, I think overall it's really good. Citlali is a perfect character for Chasca in terms of helping her buff her elemental damage, and as well as Furina being here for sub DPS, and Citlali is going to be helping Chasca with those kind of buff as well. Another interesting character if you guys still want to test it out is going to be Lyney. Now obviously Lyney is pretty much a preference character at this point in time. However, Lyney has its potential, and obviously Citlali is very much a comfortable character on a Lyney's team because Lyney team would love to have a shielder to help him out because he gets interrupted a ton, which is really annoying. In the past we really did have to, you know, either rely on a Zhongli or, you know, a Layla, which is a pretty nice cryo character I would say, but definitely Citlali is just a superior character to Layla, obviously because she's a 5-star character, plus she has really good buffing capability towards pyro characters as well, which is why she is a really nice character for you to actually run on a Lyney's team. But overall, once again, Lyney is pretty much a character for your preference, so I just want to have a quick update team for Lyney's right here. Other than that, there is another Citlali team that you can play in, which is more or less a Nuke Citlali Team because, as I've mentioned before, Citlali has very good damage capability, and you can run her in such as a Mavuika, Citlali, Penna, and a Sucrose team. And you can actually set this team up in a rotation such as this rotation I'm showing you on the screen right here to have very nice nuking Citlali capability. Now, yeah, I can't really showcase you on this team because my Citlali isn't really built as a Nuke character on this video because I've already invested so much onto my EM Cinder City set. But overall, if you want to play around with a nice Citlali damage number, I think you can go with this team, but it's more or less a preference team overall and more free to play friendly too if you don't really have a Shilonin on your team or you already have your Shilonin placed somewhere else. And Sucrose is still very much a suitable character, or especially whenever you're running with a Mavuika on your team. So overall, what I think of Citlali is that she's a very interesting character that is introduced into the game, because being a cryo character that has the ability to shred hydro and pyro means that yeah, she can't really work on a cryo team, which is why you didn't really see me mentioning any of the cryo team right now. It's rather hard for you to run a specific cryo team with this, because if you did, then you're pretty much just on a freeze team for Citlali to enable your sub DPS hydro character like Furina to have more damage, while your cryo character is just basically there to apply hydro and try to freeze as many times you can for the hydro resistant shred for Citlali, which is pretty weird, and therefore she doesn't really work on a cryo team. But it's also kind of the sad part because cryo at this point in time really would love to have kind of something kind of changing for them so that cryo can get into the limelight again, but I don't think that's going to be the case until we hit Snezhnaya. I'm pretty sure they're going to do something about cryo then. But overall, on a Citlali C0 level, her value is incredibly good. Honestly speaking, I do value Citlali a lot more in terms of you pulling for Mavuika if you were to have to choose either of their character to pull, because as we can see, she has the ability to slot in many of the different DPS team out there and either at least making a slight impact to a pretty significant impact depending on how much invested you have on your Citlali. But obviously overall guys, if you already got more invested sub DPS character like myself on my account, like specifically like a C3 Furina, then a C0 Citlali pulling onto your account wouldn't really make too much of a difference other than diversifying more of a team comp for your DPS character overall, because I'm pretty sure many of you also have Shilonin, so using both Furina and Shilonin on the same team is something that you've already done, which means that again Citlali is just going to be a direct competition towards your Furina whenever you want to try and use her. So obviously that's going to be something you want to decide on, but I guess that's everything I have to say and look into Citlali at the current point. If you do have any other team comps that you'd love to discuss about Citlali, feel free to leave it down in the comment section, as I always love to discuss with you guys there. If you're new to the channel guys, don't forget to check out my other videos, especially on Mavuika, as I'm sure it will be very helpful to you. I really appreciate you guys staying with me to this part of the video guys, and with that I wish you a super day and I'll catch you on my next video.